Welcome back to the Spread Pick'em Show with Mike and Andrew. We are in week 11, right? Yes, week 11. We're entering week 11.
Correct.
Right. So, as always, we will start with the week 10 review. We both picked the Titans on Thursday Night Football and your Colts. I mean, you must feel terrible about that because you pick the Colts all the time, don't you?
I feel awful.
You do,
I
right? Yeah,
betrayed my team,
exactly.
and they showed me.
I mean, it did come at the expense of a blocked punt and stupid stuff like that, but still, I mean, I feel bad for you. I would have picked the Titans no matter what. But anyway, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Tampa Bay won that one by a lot. We both got that one right. Houston at Cleveland. Thanks to Nicholas Chubb, we got the tie instead of a win. But I did play him in fantasy against you, so I guess that's fine. You know, at the time, I thought it was a big thing, but oh well. Washington at Detroit. Washington was down 24-3. They somehow come back, tie it. They cover the game. We both got the win there. Luckily, they were a plus 4.5 in that game. Jacksonville at Green Bay. Green Bay was a minus 13. Jacksonville loses by 4. Luton is 2-0 against the spread. Y'all need to give my man some respect, and I'm picking them again this week just to let you know. Philadelphia at the Giants. Andrew, what happened here? Because the Eagles were a minus 3.5, but I feel like something went wrong there. What happened?
It was the one game
Yep.
in which Wentz didn't take risks, and the result was no turnovers, but the result was no offense at the same time.
That's
There
your
you go.
excuse, huh? Okay. All right. Hey,
That's
good luck
exactly
to you
what
the
it
rest of
was.
the year.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. I picked the Chargers. You picked the Dolphins. You got the win there. Buffalo at Arizona. We would have got the win, but instead of kicking the extra point, they decided to take a knee and just in case the extra point got blocked and returned for 2. So we got the tie there, unfortunately. Some bad beats for us last week. But Denver at Las Vegas. I picked Denver like a dope. And you picked Las Vegas. Drew Lock threw the ball to the wrong team, I think 3 or 4 times. It was pretty ugly. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. We both took the Bengals, so we're both dopes there. And Pittsburgh won that game, I don't know, by 30 or something. It was pretty easily for them.
Yep.
On to Seattle at Los Angeles. The Rams won that one. They were a -2. We both got that one right. Andrew's Rams. I'm glad you got that one. You didn't get the Colts, but at least you got your Rams, so we'll take that. San Francisco at New Orleans. New Orleans was a -9. I took San Fran. I think they were up like 10-0 at one point. They just couldn't score after that. So the Saints went on a nice run. Drew Brees did get hurt, Jameis Winston season, but yeah, the Saints did cover that game there. Baltimore at New England, the monsoon. If I knew that was happening, I might have taken the Patriots, but the Patriots outright won the game. We both took Baltimore, and it was one of my favorite bets. That was the one favorite bet we got wrong last week, so hand up, my fault, sorry. But yeah, we got that one wrong. Minnesota at Chicago, one of the most boring primetime games you can watch. I mean, look, Nick Foles and I don't know, Cordero Patterson playing running back. I mean, how could you not like that, right? Dalvin Cook getting 30 carries for 90 yards. I mean, just awesome stuff. But, yeah, I mean, the Vikings, they get the win there by 6. They were a -3, so they covered there. And now my record is 77, 66, and 4. And we got 2 ties now. And Andrew is 4 games back at 73, 70, and 4. So, hey, props to us for being over 500, but we're inching closer and closer to you once, wearing that Giants jersey on the final show, hopefully. So we'll see. You
Yep.
should wear one. You should wear one now for all the crap you talked last week about this Giants and Eagles matchup, but, we'll let it slide, I guess.
How am I not supposed to talk crap?
I mean, you got to give the Giants some respect, my guy. What can I say?
They got my respect now.
Good. All right. So on to week number 11. Thursday Night Football is a good one. We have the Arizona Cardinals coming off that amazing Hail Mary victory. They're at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are -3, and they probably, people probably think we would pick Arizona, but we're both going to go with Seattle here.
Yeah, divisional games are always close. When it's a -3 like this, I can kind of see that happening. I could actually see a push happening here, if I'm being completely honest. I actually think that Seattle winning by 3 is like a really realistic possibility in this game. But I just like Seattle overall. They have struggled lately. They have struggled defensively. I think that's going to pick up a little bit here. Jared Goff had an awful game, and they could not, get anything back for it. Okay, they took the ball away from Jared Goff, they gave it to Russell Wilson, and even then, nothing happened. It was kind of a mess of a game. That doesn't usually happen with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I think they clean that up. I think they get a good win here, and they make things really, really interesting in the NFC West. Now, what I will say, it's scary. Arizona's scary. We've picked Arizona probably more than any single team on this show. Arizona is scary, and they showed that last week. I saw multiple tweets out on Freezing Cold Takes last week. Bills win, great Bills win. That's what can happen. And, yeah, it's complete luck. But at the end of the day, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins have been showing it all year long. They're probably the best quarterback-wide receiver duo, most surprising, most definitely, but one of the best this year. And they are a scary team, but I feel confident in Pete Carroll's ability to prepare his team for this game. They've seen Arizona a lot, so I'm pretty confident that they'll be able to take care of them.
I'm with you. I think it'll be close. And you did talk about cold takes. I saw one guy got a hot take. He was like, the guy tweeted just enough time for Kyler and D-Hop to come down and score. And, like, I don't think it was supposed to happen that way. But you know what's awesome about that play, though? How Kyler Murray was running to his left. It was probably just, had less of a yard of separation from that one guy, made like that tiny little, hesitation move, and somehow got away and threw across his body for a touchdown. The guy's just amazing. I love him. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. I don't think Chris Carson's going to play in this game, but, I mean, Russell Wilson has to stop the turnover crap at some point. Like, this is not who Russell Wilson is. We've seen enough over the years to know Russell Wilson's not going to throw 2 or 3 interceptions week after week, and this is an opponent he's familiar with. And as you said, the divisional matchups are close. I think, if Seattle was riding high and they were like 9-0 at this point, I probably would pick Arizona. But for how bad they've been losing lately, it's not like they've been getting their asses kicked, but losing by 10 points or so the past couple weeks, they need a get-right game. And Arizona's defense is not the best. I think it's beatable, and this might be a game where Russell Wilson gets back to his old MVP type ways. He might get himself back in the conversation after this. We'll have to see, but a good time to do it on prime time. I'm going to think Seattle wins this game. So we'll both go with Seattle for that first one. On the Sunday's games, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Baltimore Ravens. We both were going to say the Titans at first, but you said pick the Ravens, and I listened to you. So I'm going to pick the Ravens, and you pick the Titans here.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because early on this show, like probably week 3 or week 4, we both agreed that Baltimore hasn't hit their stride yet, and they were playing really well at the time. I think that was their stride, Mike. They look awful right now. It seems like defenses have finally figured out Lamar Jackson. And I said this last year. Obviously, there's no proof of this, but I'm going to say it like I said it anyways. I said last year, it's not that hard to pick up a defense or to prepare a defense for someone like Lamar Jackson when you have a full year of tape. They don't have a full year of tape from Lamar Jackson last year, which is partly why he was so great in the run. Now, he still is really good in the run, but you just see him running all over the pocket sometimes, not knowing where to go anymore because people are just leaving QB spies all over the field. So Baltimore, they're not looking great right now. And Tennessee is also coming off of a pretty bad loss against the Colts. Now, again, a lot of things went wrong in that game. Maybe A.J. Brown catches some passes that he drops. Maybe they not only win that game, but they win my week in fantasy. But, hey, I mean, I think Tennessee is prepared to win this game. I think Baltimore is at an all-time low right now, which could be a bad thing in me picking the Titans, but I also think the Titans are struggling enough to get them back on the road as well. I like Mike Vrabel. I like his ability to scheme up guys like Lamar Jackson. We've seen it before. He schemes up mobile quarterbacks well. He likes to put the QB spy a lot on his linebackers defensively. So I think they'll really be able to force Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, which is exactly what the Patriots did last week. And look what happened. They outright won the game. So I think Tennessee will cover this spread.
Fair enough. I refuse to believe the Ravens are not an elite team, and I will keep falling into this trap until the season's over probably. But I'm going to go with them once again. And the one stat I saw that really made me want to pick them was that the Titans defense on the road is allowing 150.3 rushing yards allowed per game to their opponents. And when you play a team like the Ravens, who runs the ball as well as anybody, that can be a problem. So I'm going to rely on that. But the problem is that the spread is a whole 6 points, which is a lot. I was hoping it'd be more like a 3.5, but 6 is a lot. I understand that. But like, can we finally get a Marquise Brown game where he does well? It's not like the Tennessee secondary has been that good. It's been pretty bad, honestly, this year. So can we finally get that going? Can Mark Andrews finally do something? Maybe he plays more after the Nick Boyle injury. I don't know. I just think this offense is too talented. The most featured player on this team is Willie freaking Snead. I mean, what the hell are we doing here? Can we get someone a little more talented involved here? I still believe in their defense a lot. I think they're a very talented group. And, you know, the Titans, when you stop Derrick Henry, which I think the Ravens have the ability to do, are not as great on offense. And if they play soft like they did in the playoffs last year, of course, it's the rematch of the playoff game when the Titans got them at home. I think the Ravens still remember that. I think they want their payback. I'm hoping that's in the back of their mind, and hopefully they come out running the ball very well. Hopefully they get over 200 yards on the ground. That might be a lot to ask for, but it's possible in a matchup like this. And I just hope Lamar Jackson returns to his MVP ways. But the number one thing is stop Derrick Henry, force A.J. Brown to beat you, force Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith, and hopefully A.J. Brown drops some more passes. We'll see. But I'm going to go with the Ravens to cover this game. I'm not confident in it, but I just want to go against you. Someone picked that. Detroit at Carolina. So we're not sure about the quarterback situation here, I think. Teddy Bridgewater has himself an injury. Stafford has like a thumb injury that came back negative, but there might be some torn ligaments or something. I don't even know, but we'll see what happens. If it's not, who's the backup? Like PJ Walker or something for the, I think it is for Carolina, the XFL guy. I don't even know.
Yeah.
He played against the Falcons on that Thursday night game. I remember. I forget do you know who the Lions backup is or no? You have any idea? Is it Chase Daniel or no?
I think it is Chase Daniel.
Right. All right. So Chase
I
Daniel.
was going to say Chase Daniel.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll go with that. It's not what was the guy's name last year who's in Jeff Driscoll? It's not him anymore. He's in Denver. But we're both in the go with Carolina here as 1.5 point favorites at home.
Yeah, I am going to go with Carolina here, especially if Teddy Bridgewater plays. This would be a lot more easy for me to pick, a lot easier for me to pick if we knew Teddy Bridgewater was going to play, but that's a question mark. But the fact that Matthew Stafford is also a question mark, and you know they couldn't even get it going against Washington last week. Wait, did he played against what? Yeah, he did. They couldn't even get it going against Washington last week. It's a little concerning to me because I think that Carolina is a better team offensively. Now, I will say Washington impressed me. Alex Smith impressed me. He got a whole week of practice under his belt, and he looked really good. It looked like he and Terry McLaurin were on the same page all day long. But I just think Carolina is just built to win these spreads, especially against a team like the Lions, and especially if they have Teddy Bridgewater. You know, I've probably said it about 20,000 times on here. Teddy Bridgewater keeps you in games. He doesn't lose you games. Sometimes he might not win you games by trying to do too little, but in a way, that's okay when you have a 1.5 point spread like this. I do think they're going to win by more than 1.5. I think it could go as high as a touchdown in this one, but I do think Teddy Bridgewater doesn't blow out teams and he doesn't get blown out by teams. So I do expect this to be relatively close if he plays. I don't know much about PJ Walker. That's going to be a little bit of an if, but I'm going to ride Carolina just because I've been riding them the whole year.
I guess we'll call PJ Walker the poor man's, not even Tyrod Taylor. I don't know. He's probably not that good. Let's be honest. So
he is
yeah,
kind of like Tyrod Taylor.
Right? Okay, we'll go with that. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. The Lions are averaging, 400 yards allowed given up on defense. I mean, they can't stop the run. Having Christian McCaffrey would have helped a lot in this matchup. I get that, but I trust my boy Mike Davis to hopefully get it going on the ground. And as you said, if Bridgewater plays, he will keep it close. And I think if he does play, they'll probably win this game. I mean, I don't think the Panthers' defense is anything great either, but they're probably still better than the Lions. I think they're a much better coach team between Matt Rule and Matt Patricia. So give me the Matt Rule instead of the Matt Patricia there. But yeah, I mean, look, I know Stafford can put up numbers. I don't know if Kenny Golladay is going to play, which can definitely be a big thing with, the Panthers not having having a shutdown. Actually, no, the Panthers do have a good corner, don't they? Who's the guy? Was he from the Eagles or no? Yes,
Rajul
yes. You know what I'm
Douglas.
talking about? Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
he can do a good job on Galladay, hopefully. But even if he doesn't play, then Marvin Jones, I'm not too scared of. So yeah, I think Danny Amendola got hurt too. So they're kind of losing weapons over there. Maybe Hawkinson has a good game. I don't really know, but hopefully my boy DeAndre Swift goes off in this game. But yeah, I think the Panthers are more talented. They are better coached, and it's only 1.5 points. I will take the Panthers as well. Now on to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are a -3.5. Now it's funny. I figured this would be the opposite. I figured you'd pick the Eagles for sure, but this is a not confident Eagles fan over here. I'm taking the Eagles,
Yeah.
and you're going to take the Browns here.
I am going to take the Browns, and I think it's partly because I just don't like where they're at right now, confidence-wise. I think last week was a really like a big drain in their confidence. Now I follow the Eagles obviously more than any other team. I know exactly what's going on. I've heard Doug Peterson on the radio show literally seem more upset than I've ever heard a coach in probably my time of following the NFL. So maybe there's a little bit of a fire going on in that locker room to go out there and beat the crap out of a team. But I just don't think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be the team that gets their butts beaten by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I will say this. If they figure out a way to get Carson Wentz outside of the pocket to throw the ball more, which is something they didn't do against the Giants, I could see them not only covering, I could see them actually win this game. I do think it will be a close game, but I do think in the end you might see maybe a 35-30 game, maybe a 35-28 game. I think that's realistic. I think Cleveland Browns put up a lot of points this game. They just have too many options on offense that the Eagles can't account for. They have that great running game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They have that great passing game with Jarvis Landry, even Rashad Higgins now. I'm pretty sure David Njoku's back there, Austin Hooper. They just have a lot of things going for them. Their offensive line is actually playing pretty well. So overall, it's a non-confident pick in the Philadelphia Eagles just because I know this team and I know when they're confident and not confident, and maybe they pull something out of their you-know-whats here, but I just don't see it happening.
Pull a rabbit out of their head, right? Like Jason Witten said.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
Eagles on defense have struggled stopping the run. It's been 133 rushing yards allowed per game. And you mentioned the whole Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt thing going on for them. It's going to be tough to stop them. Now, Cleveland has had a lot of offensive struggles of late, but that's the past couple of games in Cleveland where it's been a really terrible weather. So how much can you put into that? They played the Raiders in a very rainy game. It was terrible. And then the last game they played, they had to delay the beginning of the game because the thunder and lightning or something was going on there. The windstorm was very bad. So if they get better weather here, I agree this could be a high scoring game. But look, your Eagles, they have their backs against the wall. They're not the worst team in the world. I still think that team's talented. I don't know why you guys are so bad. I think number 11 has to play a lot better. I think he has to stop holding onto the ball too much and be a bit more accurate. But if he can do those things, and this would be a good time to do it because the Browns secondary, not that great in my opinion. You have to watch out for Myles Garrett and Sheldon Richardson and those guys, especially Myles Garrett. So if they can stop him, then they should be okay. And this might be a game where Carson Wentz finally gets back on track. And as much as I would love for the Browns to win, my Browns, and they're playing the Eagles, that would be great for the Eagles to lose this game. I just feel like this is like a put up or shut up type moment for you guys. It probably should have been last week against the Giants. They didn't do it. You saw Doug Peterson on that radio show, just sounded depressed as hell. I'm sure these guys will just come out and playing really hard. Do they win based on lack of talent? I mean, we'll see, but I really have no idea. We'll have to find out, but I think this might be a game where Carson Wentz can finally put it together for a full 4 quarters. Baker Mayfield can make his mistakes here and there, and if you got to stop the run, I like your chances of winning. So hopefully I'm wrong, though. So now on to the New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. So this would have been nice if Bill O'Brien was still there, a former, Patriot assistant being there, but that's not the case anymore. But the New England Patriots on the road are favored by 2 points, and we both like the Patriots here.
Yeah, I like the Patriots. I think the Texans will be able to score points. I think that's going to be, that's really been their motto all year. Their defense really hasn't helped them out that much, although their defense has been playing fine lately. But it's just you rely too much on Deshaun Watson. I don't trust it. I think the New England Patriots are a more all-around team, if that makes sense in a way, where they don't really rely on one person. Obviously, they rely on Cam Newton to an extent, But I think they mix it around all the field on the field nicely. I think they mix it around really, really nice. I think they go to everybody. Everybody's a part of the game. While as Houston, they're really relying on Deshaun Watson, especially now that DeAndre Hopkins isn't there. They need Deshaun Watson to perform at his best, and if he's a little slightly off, they lose games. Like, that's really been the story of their season so far. So I will go with New England, especially coming off of a great win against the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully it doesn't get to their head too much and they don't get overconfident. But again, you look at your record, there is no way you should be overconfident even after a big win like that against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I do think last week especially that the Patriots playing the Ravens, that is a revenge game in a way, kind of like the Texans, Tennessee, and Baltimore this week. You know, they got eliminated from the Ravens last year in the play. Wait, no,
That's cap.
they got
That's
eliminated
cap.
from the Tennessee. Oh, I just got confused. Yeah, they got okay. Well, anyways, I just think New England is ready to hit their stride right now. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing, if it's going to be a part-time thing. I think Cam Newton is one of the more inconsistent quarterbacks in the league. I think he's proven that this year. So it's really a 50-50 for me. But I just think in order for the Texans to either cover or win, because it is a very low spread, he needs to play almost perfect football. And I think that's a little bit too much to ask.
I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but I changed my pick mid-show. You know what? I run this, so we're going to say I could do it. I am going to go with the Texans.
But
now.
if I did it,
I mean, I'd make the exception. I mean, here's the thing. I just don't want to post a video and have you change it because that's a whole different story. But we're in the middle of it. Here's the thing. This is why I'm going to do it. So neither team can stop the run, right? You look at the Patriots' run defense. It sucks. Houston's run defense, probably even worse. But basically, I think the team that can pass the ball better in this game is going to win the game. Do I trust Cam Newton to pass the ball well as compared to Deshaun Watson? I personally do not see that happening. I trust the weapons of Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks over guys like Jacoby Myers, and I don't even think N'Keal Harry plays these days. I think he's hurt. And who is it? Jacoby Myers. I don't even know who plays for the Patriots. The Bird guy who didn't get any catches last week. Like, they're not a good receiving core. Like, we know this by now. I'm going to trust Deshaun Watson, who's probably the best player on the field here, to get it done. They don't have anything to play for except for pride at this point. But, like, you know, why not try and beat a New England team that I think has had their number for a lot of years. They beat them in the playoffs. You know, I think it was like 4 years ago at this point, but still a little mini revenge game from almost a half decade ago, but we'll take it. But if you're going to say that both teams can run the ball with success, but you're going to put Deshaun Watson against Cam Newton, I'm taking Deshaun Watson every time, and he has the better weapons. So I will take the Texans there. I don't feel confident about it, but when you compare the quarterbacks there with bad run defenses, I'll just take the good quarterback or the better quarterback in that situation. So on to the next game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at the Jake Luton and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pittsburgh is a -10. As I mentioned before, I'm just going to take Jacksonville till they lose because I feel like people are sleeping on them with the spread. And you're going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have just been demolishing teams lately.
Yeah, I am going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers here. And I just want all the viewers at home to know that I know Mike just shared a lot of statistics about the last matchup there, but the number one statistic that Mike looks at is to disagree with me. So that's number one. That's number one on the board, okay? When he goes against me, you know, the stats mean a little bit, but it's more just to go against me. I just want to put that out here. And again, he's going against me again. But I will say he has been pretty consistent with his Luton picks, his Luton-free. Maybe he should start becoming Luton-free soon, especially if Pittsburgh covers this spread. But I just think Pittsburgh is just playing their tail off. And right now, I think Pittsburgh wants to ride this as much as they can. You stated before we hopped on the show, they've been playing crappy teams lately, and it looks like they're having a lot of fun beating up these crappy teams. I think this is another example of it. I think Jacksonville will come out and be competitive in the first half of this game, as most teams usually are against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think in the second half is where you see the turnaround, where you see Jacksonville trying to do the same thing they did in the first half because it worked, and then the Steelers making adjustments and really just taking off. James Conner is a name to look out for. Benny Snell, obviously, that Jacksonville run defense isn't the greatest. They've played okay, but they haven't played very well. They were able to stop Derrick Henry, but I just think James Conner being in the pass game more, it's a little different than that type of guy that is just going to run. He's really not going to catch the ball that much. And their offense is rolling. They have a lot of weapons to go to. Chase Claypool has emerged into a really good weapon. Obviously, Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson are still there. This team is undefeated for a reason. Now, do I think they are better than other teams in the NFL? No, I don't think they're the best team in the NFL. But are they good enough to beat Jacksonville by more than 10 points? Yeah, I think they are, and I think they will.
Who's the best team in the NFL? Is it still the Chiefs, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's still the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
I'm gonna agree with that. They got DeAndre Baker now. How could they not be the best team in the NFL? But anyway, for this matchup, Jacksonville's like low key kind of good at stopping the run now, and it's not like the Steelers' offensive line is what it used to be. So hopefully this is a situation where you force Ben Roethlisberger to try and beat you. And I know he's been doing that lately. I get it. But, if they can get to him a little bit, like if some of the young guys like Josh Allen and Caleb Von Chason can get in the backfield a bit and just rough him up a little, like I think that's enough to cover 10 points. And I know the Steelers have this really good pass defense. So it'll be a tough day for my Luton man. And they stop the run very well. So James Robinson might have a tough day. But if they can somehow just get like 17 points offensively and hold the Steelers to like 24. If they lose this game 24-17, I cover the spread and I make out okay. Now I don't really trust Jacksonville, but I trust them to put up at least some sort of points. I don't expect this to be like the Bengals last week where they do nothing for basically 58 minutes till the very end. I think this will be a game where hopefully Jacksonville can at least score a little bit. And I trust my man Charky Chark and Chris Conley and Keelan Cole. Like I trust those guys to at least win one of their matchups and get open consistently. So I'll go with them. I can see the Steelers, passing all over them for 400 yards and Ben having 4 touchdowns and them losing by a ton. But I'm going to be optimistic and keep riding with Luton until he loses the spread. So I'll pick Jacksonville here. Next, we are on to the Atlanta Falcons, Moots Falcons. I don't know if I should call him or not. He might be in class. I'll let him get off this week. But the Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a -5. I'm going to take the Saints, and you're going to take the Atlanta Falcons. Coming off a bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Moots Falcons this week, and again, it's another example of Mike going against his number 2 factor. Teams coming off the bye, but I am gonna go with Atlanta here. It's a divisional matchup. They've seen each other a lot, and I honestly think the reason why I picked Atlanta in this one is because of Jameis Winston. Now, I do think I am a believer that Jameis Winston or the Saints would be better off at this point in the season with a guy like Jameis Winston, because I do think they need to start spreading the ball down the field more. Drew Brees really can't do that. But again, that's another conversation for another day. I think Jameis Winston is the reason the Falcons cover this spread. I think him turning the ball over gives the Falcons defense, who is just complete garbage at this point in the season, a chance to win. And if the Falcons can make any sort of stops defensively, they can score on offense, and they will come out and score if they are shown that their defense can hold. And I think they will hold at some points, maybe to 3 and outs, maybe to, third downs, punts, whatever. But I think the main factor is Jameis Winston is probably most likely, I'd like to see the betting odds on this, going to have turnovers in this game. And he's going to give the ball back to the Falcons. He has great wide receivers. I wouldn't say great. He has good wide receivers with Michael Thomas, like he did in Tampa Bay. He tried to force the ball a little too much down to those great players, and it resulted in turnovers. So I think Atlanta, in a divisional matchup against Jameis Winston, will cover this spread.
Yeah, I have good news for you. I just saw the NFL update. They said the Broncos have released veteran linebacker Nigel Bradham. He can come back and save the Eagles. How do you feel about that? Right?
Look at that.
Get him back. Get him back.
I think he's gone to 3 teams in this offseason.
Yeah, the Saints, Broncos.
I think he was with the Panthers for a little bit in their practice squad, and then he got let go.
It's a rough look if that's the case. Maybe you don't want him. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Look, I think you're making fun of Jameis and his turnovers. I get it. But this guy had LASIK eye surgery over the offseason. He can now see what color each team is. That's kind of a BS excuse. But I really think Jameis Winston's going to play very well here. Honestly, Atlanta's been pretty good recently, with Grady Jarrett, of course, in stopping the run this year. I think this is a game where they're going to force Jameis Winston to beat them, and I think Jameis Winston beats them. I think Jameis Winston's been waiting a long time, not the longest time, but basically over half an NFL season to get some consistent playing time. He finally gets it. As you said, he has the good weapons and Michael Thomas. He has Emmanuel Sanders. I think Traquan Smith is out, but he has Jared Cook, who's been invisible lately, but hopefully can get something out of him. And Atlanta's cornerbacks are not that good. I know A.J. Terrell's been getting better this year, but they're still not that good. So I will say Jameis Winston, I don't think he's going to throw for 500 yards, but I think Jameis Winston can have like a 300-yard game with maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 turnover, but that's enough to cover a 5-point spread. And we know the Saints have a much better defense. I agree that Atlanta's going to score some points in this game, but I do trust the Saints offense to put up more points, and I think they'll win this game, so I'll go with Jameis Winston and the Saints on that one. Next, we're on to a game that's not too exciting, but not unwatchable. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. They're at the Washington football team, a battle of the 1-2 pick this year, I believe, of Chase Young and Joe Burrow. So that'll be a little fun thing to watch out for there. But anyway, I'm going to take the Bengals, and you're going to go with Washington here as 2-point favorites.
I looked at this game for a little bit, and I've picked the Bengals in the majority of games in which they're not favored, but this one is a little too low for me. They're only a +2. I would usually like them to be at least a +5 to a +7. And I just like Washington because I think they're finally starting to move the ball offensively. Their problem the whole year was definitely not their defense. Their defense is able to get to the quarterback. We know Cincinnati welcomes defenders to get to their quarterback. We've seen that over the course of the season, right? So they're not going to be able to really do much for Joe Burrow on the offensive line. I think they're going to run the line in the game. The defense is going to play pretty well. And Alex Smith, second week of practice or first week of practice last week, he threw for 400 yards. He didn't miss a step, and he's now getting even more comfortable with the playbook, even more comfortable with the players around him. This is a game where I think Washington actually looks like a salvageable football team. They look like they can go out there and maybe compete for the NFC East, maybe be in the conversation along with the Giants and the Eagles. I think that's how much Alex Smith changes it up a little bit. I was a little questionable on Alex Smith. Last week was important to me to see how he really came out and played. If I was his wife, I probably never would have let him play again. I mean, that leg injury was gruesome. I watched the 30 for 30 on that. I don't think I would have let him play. But he's playing. So as long as he's on the field, I feel pretty comfortable with Washington here. I think this is going to be yet another game for Joe Burrow where he's just getting beat up all the time. But I did hear something funny about Joe Burrow that really makes me like him. He got sacked against the Eagles, and it was a controversial – one of the times, just an example of one time.
Right.
He got sacked, and it should have been – I watched it again. It should have been a personal foul on the defense, but they didn't call it. And he got up, and he looked at Brandon Graham, and he said, when I'm the GOAT, I'm going to get that call. He's a beast. Who says that? That is Joe Burrow right there if I've ever seen it. But I have to go against him just because I don't think his offensive line will be able to get it done for him, and I think he's going to get banged around once again.
No, that's fair. The last time the Cincinnati Bengals lost the game very badly, it was week number 5 against the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 3-27. Then this week they lose 10-36. Now, the last time they got their doors blown off, they came out and played very well against Indianapolis. I think they're up 21-0 in that game. So if they got up 21-0 in this game, they probably win. I'm not saying they'll play that well again, but the last time they really got destroyed, Zach Taylor and the offense came out with this awesome game plan. They just put up 21 unanswered right away. They're playing Washington, who has a good defense. It's not as good as the Colts defense, but still, I think they'll come out this week. And I like betting on teams. I don't know if I'd actually bet this game or not, but I like picking teams that get embarrassed in a prior week. And I think this is an example of it. Tough divisional matchup, just like the Baltimore one. This is an out-of-division matchup against the worst, one of the most historically bad divisions of all time, an NFC East team that's in like 3rd place in the NFC East. So Washington, as you said, they are pretty good on defense. They can get quarterback pressures, which is not good for a bad offensive line like Cincinnati. But at the same time, I like their weapons a lot. They can't cover all 3 guys. I mean, A.J. Green's a nobody at this point, honestly. But, Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, it'll be tough to cover both of those guys. So I think Joe Burrow can get it done. I don't know if they win this game, but it is 2 points. I get that, but a 1-point loss is not out the window. I think they can flat out win this game. I do fear that once again the Bengals get out to a good lead in the beginning, then blow it, because we saw last week the same thing happen with Washington. They get down very early, they come back. I feel like this might be an instance of it, but maybe I bet Bengals first half score. I have no idea, but for this video, I will take the Bengals to cover that spread and potentially win the game. On to Miami at Denver. Miami is a -3, and we're both very puzzled by this spread. I expected like a 6.5 point favorite for the Dolphins. Now it's a 3. I don't know why, but we're both going to take the Dolphins here, and I feel like we might be wrong for some reason.
Yeah, very, 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 very puzzled, especially if Drew Lock is on the field, because I mean, Denver might give the ball away more than any other team in the NFL. Obviously, not more than my Eagles. They have probably the worst turnover differential in the NFL, but they're up there certainly. And Miami forces probably, again, one of the most turnovers as a defense. And when they force turnovers, they make the most of them. They score a lot of defensive touchdowns. They get a lot of turnovers in other teams' territory. And it's just really interesting to me how this is a -3. If I'm being honest, I thought this was going to be closer to a -9, like a -9 or a -8. Like Miami's been playing their tail off lately. I've seen people putting them in their top 10 best teams, some top 6, some top 5. I mean, this team's legit, and if they can get actual good play from Tua Tagovailoa, which they have been so far, as he's been a rookie, they're 3-0 with him. Although I don't really think he's really done that much to win them games. Last week, he played great. I thought he played great. I thought there were some plays over there where there should have been turnovers, but that the defense didn't, take account and force these turnovers. But I think Tua was playing well enough to beat Denver by more than 3. Now, if the Jets can play competitive against Denver, why can't Miami play competitive and
That
not
was
only
2
play
months
competitive
ago.
but
Come on.
win by double digits? 2 months ago, I don't care. Whenever you let up 30 points to the Jets, you shouldn't be 3-point underdogs to a Miami team who's absolutely dominating. This team beat the Cardinals. I mean, this is a legit team. This is a legit team, and I honestly would like to see what Vegas is thinking on this one, and I feel like Vegas is disrespecting Tua and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, you painted the picture of why the Dolphins should win this game, and I completely agree. Let me paint the picture for how Denver can maybe cover this game. The first thing is that playing in Mile High in Denver is sometimes difficult, especially for a young team and a guy making like his 4th career start or something like that in Tua. That could be a tough task for him. And Denver's their passing defense isn't great, but their run defense is good. They'll probably stop Salvan Ahmed and whoever else they got in the backfield. Jordan Howard's gone now. Rest in peace, Jordan Howard. But
Matt Breida.
Matt Breida, he's coming back, right? I saw he practiced in full, so he'll be
Yeah.
back. So, yeah, they got some options there. But really the way that the Broncos can win this game, and here's a stat for you. The Dolphins are allowing 149.5 rushing yards on road games this year. So if the Broncos can somehow get Melvin Gordon, who's not good, and Phillip Lindsay, who doesn't play too much anymore, if they can get both of those guys involved and running for 4 or 5 yards a carry, then there's a world where this game is close. But even then, I feel like worst case scenario, the Dolphins win this game on like a Jason Sanders 50-yard field goal. And that's another thing. Jason Sanders in Denver with the the light altitude or whatever, he'll be a monster. I expect 20 fantasy points from my kicker, Jason Sanders, this week in Denver. Hopefully I'm right about that. But honestly, for the spread especially, they'll put up 3 points whenever they get over the 50, I feel like. He's been great this year, honestly. So I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know why the spread's only -3, but we're both going to take the Dolphins, and hopefully we're not wrong about that. Next, we're on to Andrew's Jets. They are at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are a -8.5 now. Part of me wanted to take the Jets here, but it's Joe Flacco, not Sam Darnold once again. So I'm just going to go with the Chargers as well.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Chargers here. But what does concern me, and this might not be taken seriously, but you know what? It is a thing to think about. Justin Herbert cut his hair. Okay, Justin Herbert cut his hair. This is something. I'm a very superstitious person. Justin Herbert cutting his hair doesn't make me more confident in this game, if I'm being completely honest. But all jokes aside, what really does concern me is the fact that the Chargers keep every game close against any opponent. They are just like the Carolina Panthers in that fashion. 8.5 is scary for a team that does that. But when you're playing the Jets, I think all that goes to the side. I think when you're playing the Jets, it's like you're basically like playing a college football team at this point. I think they're very talented. The Jets, I just don't think they show up. I really don't. I think Adam Gase, they're just using him, and I know you think this too. They're just using him for the draft pick at this point. They don't want to be good at all, so they're just doing whatever. But Joe Flacco and Brashad Perriman, that's a duo. You better watch out for that. He's starting again this week, if I'm correct. So
Yeah.
it is a little scary. I did think about this game a little bit, but I am going to go with the safe option here, and I am going to go with Justin Buzzcut Herbert and the LA Chargers.
Sometimes the buzz cut doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Like for Jacob DeGrom, it worked. The guy won like 2 Cy Youngs in a row or something off of
Yeah.
that. So I mean, it's whatever. Maybe it works for, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I think Justin Herbert makes enough big plays in the game to beat a team like the Jets. They released Pierre Desir, one of their cornerbacks this week. So like, I just don't think the Jets have any type of secondary whatsoever. And like as you said with Adam Gase, I don't like people saying Gaze. I mean, it sounds like you're saying something else, but like you're not the only one. Everyone says Gaze. I feel like it's Gase. You know what I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna say Justin Herbert puts up a very nice performance here. He was a bit off last week through a bad interception against Miami. I get that, but this is a game where he'll put up over 300 yards and just look really good and make a lot of big time throws. And, hopefully Mike Williams has some big catches in there and they'll move the chains with Keenan Allen very easily. Hunter Henry finally started to get involved last week, it seemed like. So this could be a game where, Justin Herbert has that big breakout performance and I think they blow out the Jets, honestly. I don't see this game being very close at all. I try to making a case for the Jets. I like Denzel Mims. I like Jamison Crowder. They have some guys on offense that are decent. Their defense, I mean, it's pretty non-existent. I mean, Quentin Williams is fine, but there's nobody else really. So I don't trust their defense whatsoever. I think the Chargers have a good offense, but as you said, my concern is the Chargers tend to play down to their opponent. So that's one thing to watch out for. But if they just come out and play really well off a bad loss against the Dolphins, hopefully they find a way to just blow out the Jets, and hopefully we're right about that one. On to another very confusing spread. The Green Bay Packers at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored by 2 points. I personally figured it'd be Green Bay for sure, but they're taking the Colts Vegas. I don't know why, but we're both going to take the Packers here.
Yeah, it is a little strange to me because I don't really see a consistency with the Packers in which they play bad against, good defenses. And overall, I really don't understand why it is in favor of the Colts. Honestly, I could see a spread in which the Packers are favored by more than 2 points, which is why when you sent me these spreads today, I was a little confused. I was a little puzzled. And then I started second guessing myself because that's what I usually do when Vegas differs from me. I start to second guess myself. So I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. It's the second week in a row in which I am going against the Indianapolis Colts. Hopefully that's a good thing for the Colts. Hopefully they're watching this right now. They seem to be watching it last week because I wasn't confident in them. But I do trust the Green Bay Packers here offensively. I do think they can almost expose the Indianapolis Colts defense a little bit here, not really be struck to a certain amount of points. And even if they are, it's not like they have a spread like – it's not like they are in favor here. They can win by 1 point. They can lose by 1 point, and they still cover. Like, they can play this game really, really close, and they still cover. I do think they outright win this game, but it is a little worrisome that Vegas differs from me. So, yeah, I am going to go with Green Bay Packers, though.
Yeah, it is confusing. Now, looking at some numbers here, the Colts are giving up only, 198 passing yards per game. It's only 175 when they're at home, and they're only allowing 91 yards per game to running backs. So it might be a tough day at the office for Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones, but I'm going to trust Aaron Rodgers playing at an MVP level compared to Phillip Rivers. I mean, I think the Packers don't have this phenomenal defense. It was better last year for sure. But if they can find a way to get to Phillip Rivers a few times and force him to make some bad decisions, which he did not do last week, then I think they could win this game. And I don't think Naheem Hines every week's going to have like 2 touchdowns and just be incredible. Like that was kind of like a one-time thing. He had his best career game. He played well a couple weeks ago, but I think the Packers will hopefully keep him in check. Jonathan Taylor's looking like the next Trent Richardson. Sorry, I know you're a big fan of his, but he's looking terrible. And yeah, I mean, it's not like the Colts offense is anything great. I mean, of course, Pittman's good, but like, I don't fear T.Y. Hilton. I don't fear Pascal. Like, I don't really think they have that many great weapons. So if Jair Alexander, their cornerback, comes back and is on Michael Pittman, that's fine. You know, he'll be locked down. I'm not worried about that. I just don't really see the Colts having too much of an offense here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Aaron Rodgers playing at this MVP level. He's been around the block. He's played better defenses than this. I think he'll be fine. And I think the Packers just outright win this game. So I think even if they lose by 1, we still cover, which is scary. But I want to take the Packers to win this game probably. So on to Sunday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys, who do get Andy Dalton back, they will be at the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings are 7.5-point favorites. We differ here. I'm taking the Cowboys, and you're going to take the Vikings. I'll go quick, actually. I'm just going to say it. Andy Dalton's back. The Vikings are on 6 days rest, and the Cowboys are coming off a bye. That's pretty much my reasoning for it. I have nothing else to say about it. I know Dalvin Cook could rush for 200 yards in this game. I get it, but I trust them coming off the bye. They'll have some big splash plays on offense. I think Michael Gallup has a big game in this one, so that's my point for this game. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Someone should clip that and play it every time the Giants lose to the Cowboys. That would be a funny one. But I am going to go with Minnesota, and I'm going to go with Minnesota for, like you said, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is going to be a beast in this game, and he's shown already that he could literally be the reason they win games, not against bad teams, but good teams. I mean, the Green Bay Packers. He's not going to score 4 touchdowns again, but he does have the ability to just run all over teams and be the reason they win games. And even if he's not the reason that they win games, they have Adam Thielen, they have Justin Jefferson, they have a good, decent tight end duo in Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr. there. So I do trust them offensively to really get it going either way. If they get it going running the ball, yeah, I think they're going to cover 7.5. If they don't, I still think it's a real possibility that they do so as well, because I just think Minnesota offensively is really, really good. And now what does scare me, and you're right, is they are coming off the bye. Andy Dalton is back. But it's almost like Dallas played worse with Andy Dalton on the field. Let's be honest for a second. They did not play well when Andy Dalton was on the field. Now, 7.5 points is a lot, but it's enough for me to pick against the Dallas Cowboys, especially against the team that has beaten good teams. The Vikings are probably one of the better bad teams in the league, so I think they'll be able to cover a 7.5-point spread.
That's well said. They are one of the better bad teams. They've been really good lately. They started off very bad, of course. I think they started 0-4 this year, maybe 0-5, but like they've been pretty good lately. So good point. I do not have much confidence in this pick, but based on the time off for the Cowboys and Dalton coming back and the Vikings defense not being anything great, they might have looked better facing a Bears team that cannot move the ball for their lives. So I'll put that out there as well. So last game, Monday Night Football. Last time these two played, it was an upset win for the Las Vegas Raiders, but this time it is the KC Chiefs at the Raiders, and the Chiefs are a -7 coming off their bye, and the Raiders played – who did the Raiders play last week? I don't remember now. They played Denver, and they killed them. So they're feeling good. They beat the Chiefs last time. They're feeling themselves right now, but I think the Chiefs are going to have a good game plan coming out the bye. I'm taking the Chiefs. You take the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders because I just think John Gruden playing a team over and over again is probably the main reason I think they're going to cover this spread. I don't think they're going to outright win again. I do think it's a possibility. But I think when John Gruden sees the same team enough and he studies the same team twice a year, you get a sense, especially if there's not much changes, which with the Kansas City Chiefs, there really isn't. Obviously, they have the addition of Mr. DeAndre Baker, who could, some would say, rob the Raiders of a point coverage or spread coverage here. But I just think that I just think that the Raiders are just good enough when they see teams more often in a divisional matchup to cover a touchdown here. Now, Kansas City does whatever they want. They could be winning by 30 points. They could be winning by 3 points. They just decide to throw the ball all the time. They really don't go to the run anymore. Like, if I'm being honest, I've seen Clyde's stats. I've seen Le'Veon Bell's stats. I think they had maybe 11 rushing attempts last week, maybe something like that. I mean, that's like insane. Like they really rely on Patrick Mahomes, and for good reason. I mean, he is, like you talked about Russell Wilson, he is a guy that's been in the MVP conversation his whole career. Like he has never left that MVP conversation since he was drafted into the league, and it is scary. But I do think John Gruden is one of the better schemers in the league. Andy Reid is definitely up there too. But I just think the reason why they won the game the first time was because they were familiar with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think that's the reason why they cover this time.
I just realized we forgot a game, but it hasn't passed yet. We forgot
Oh,
Monday
did we?
night. This is not
Okay.
Monday Night Football. This is Sunday Night
This is
Football.
Sunday Night Football.
Yes, we
Okay.
forgot the Rams and Buccaneers, so we'll do that one next. Think about your pick. The spread's minus
Wonder
three and
where
a
my
half.
Rams were.
Minus 3.5 for Tampa, by the way. So you can think about that one while I get into this. So, yes, I am going to take the Chiefs in this matchup. Coming off that bye, I do love that factor, of course. They're going to get Sammy Watkins back. The Raiders are not the best defense. They've allowed, it says here, 377 total yards per game. And when you give Andy Reid enough time to scheme for that against a defense that has a lot of holes, watch out. That could be a 40-plus point performance there. Now, on the flip side, the Chiefs can't stop the run, so Josh Jacobs might have a nice game in this one, and Devontae Booker has been coming out of nowhere and playing very well recently. So watch out for that, but I do trust the Chiefs to put up a lot of points here. I know 7 points, I think it is a lot, so I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like they'll come out and kill them. I know the Raiders got the best of them last time, but I don't see it happening twice in a row. I think, one time the Raiders are going to blow them out, and the next time the Chiefs will blow them out. So I think that's how it's going to go. Maybe I'm wrong, but I trust the Chiefs here. I still think they're the best team in the league. I don't know if I fully buy into the Raiders. They're good. They're a pretty good team. They're not great, but they're pretty good. But I think the Chiefs are the best team in the league. So I'll give them that win by more than a touchdown. And now on to the Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a fun game. Tampa Bay is a minus 3.5. I don't know who I'm taking, but you go first because you probably have an answer now.
Yeah, this is one that I'm really still thinking about here, but I think I'm gonna go against my LA Rams here just because I think 3.5 is enough for Tom Brady. I think he can cover a 3.5 point spread. Now this one is difficult for me because Sean McVay and that Rams defense was able to handle Tom Brady and the Patriots the last time they played them. I mean, that was the Super Bowl in which the Patriots put up probably the least amount of points they've ever put up in a Super Bowl that they've won. So it is something that is going for the Rams in that situation. But I just feel like offensively, Jared Goff, even though they've been winning games, the Rams, Jared Goff hasn't been that great. And he's going to need to be pretty good in this game to get a win or even to cover this spread. If he turns the ball over like he did last week, they are definitely not going to win this game because you can't give the ball to Tom Brady and expect just to get the ball back all the time. So without points being scored, of course. But I just feel comfortable with the Buccaneers. Now, this, again, is on short notice, so who knows? Mike's researching his injury report right now and his statistics. I guarantee you he brings up one of those two things in the conversation when he talks next.
Yes.
But yeah, I am going to go with the Buccaneers here.
It's okay, though, because I'm also picking the Buccaneers. I mean, I'm with you here on this one. So where are my statistics here? So Tampa Bay is allowing the third fewest total yards per game on defense and the 10th fewest passing yards per game and the fewest rushing yards per game at 76. So they create turnovers. They create pressure. Jared Goff against pressure, not good. Andrew Whitworth, I think, is out for 6 to 8 weeks. Keep that in mind. So I think Shaquille Barrett or JPP, one of them, will be across a backup left tackle for the Rams. That's just game over for them right there. I think the offensive line will struggle greatly for them. I think the Buccaneers are a low-key, nice fantasy football play because I see a lot of turnovers here happening for the Rams. I think the Buccaneers win this one by a good amount. I can see this being like a 10-point win for them or maybe more. And I think, this will be one of those games, once again, the Buccaneers put up a lot of points offensively. It helped with a 98-yard touchdown run by Ronald Jones. But this might be the game where they get their guys involved, Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Now, I will say, Jalen Ramsey, and they have another corner across from Ramsey that's really good. I forget the guy's name, something Williams. But the guy's been playing out of his mind this year. So they have two really good outside corners. But Chris Godwin in the slot and Rob Gronkowski over the middle could definitely exploit this team. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I think it's, not the easiest thing, but they might be one of my favorite bets, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of talking myself into it, but I'll put them down with a little star next to them for a potential favorite bet here. But, yes, that will do it for this video. We got to do the favorite bets first. I have 4 in mind, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit of a risk here because I don't know, again, if their quarterback is playing right
Teddy
away. I'm
Bridgewater.
pretty sure he will, but I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers and Teddy Bridgewater here. I'm also going to take this is tough. I'm going to take Miami. I'm also going to take Miami. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Miami is definitely in the conversation for me. Just to not piggyback you and take them as well, I'm gonna go with the. Do I go with the Green Bay Packers, or I want to go with the New Orleans Saints at -5, and I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers at -3.5. I think if this stays at 3.5, I'm gonna put like real money on the Buccaneers. I feel very good about that one. If I win some games on Sunday, I'm gonna put a lot of it on this game because I feel I'm not Sunday. Yeah, Sunday they play Monday. I get it, but yeah, it's gonna be Tampa Bay for me and the Saints. So that's what I go with. Some NFC South teams for me. Anything else, Andrew? Before we wrap up here.
I was just going to say, you could tell this guy really likes Jameis Winston by going with his, two
I love
teams there.
Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston sucks sometimes, but he's awesome. He is very fun to watch. I think him and Josh Allen are the most fun quarterbacks to watch. Like they play with the most reckless abandon, and I think they're fun to watch. Yes, they're not the best quarterbacks in the league, but like you put those guys on TV, I'll watch them. I
More
really
fun
do.
than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That was before I fell in love with Kyler Murray. This was kind of my thought last year, but Kyler Murray's kind of
Okay.
yeah, he might be on the
All right.
top of that right now. Yeah. But anyway, so can you give me an Eagles score prediction before you wrap up here? Because I personally feel they're going to beat the Browns, but I want to
Of
hear what
course,
your
you want
score
Eagles score
prediction is.
prediction.
Yeah, I do.
I'll go 35.
Oh,
Actually,
30.
I'll go 31-23. Browns.
Wow. Well, I hope you're right. I'll take the Eagles' loss over me winning for the show, but I really feel that the Eagles are going to win that game. I don't know. Well, hopefully my Brownies find a way to pull that one off. But thanks for watching, guys, and we will talk to you next week.